Alex Ross walked into the command center with heavy steps. His face was pale. In his hand, he held a data tablet displaying the message that would change humanity's future forever. The room fell silent as other officers noticed his expression. "They voted us out," Alex said, his voice barely above a whisper. "The Galaxy Council has removed Earth from the Alliance." Susan Blackwell, the highest-ranking admiral of Earth's defense forces, stood up from her chair. "Show me," she said. Alex handed her the tablet. The holographic message floated above it in glowing blue text. The Galaxy Council, an alliance of 27 spacefaring species that had welcomed Earth 50 years ago, had unanimously decided that humans were too unpredictable, too dangerous. The message cited human unpredictability as an existential threat to galactic stability. Susan read it twice before looking up at the room full of officers. "They're lying," she said firmly. "This isn't about unpredictability. This is about fear. We've advanced too quickly for their comfort." "Admiral," said Communications Officer Greg Porter, "we're receiving reports of Council ships entering our solar system. A lot of ships." The large screen at the front of the command center switched to show the incoming fleet. Hundreds of vessels from various Council species moved into position around the outer planets. It was not just a diplomatic message. It was the beginning of an attack. "They're calling it a quarantine," Greg added, listening to incoming transmissions. "They say Earth will be contained for the safety of the galaxy." Susan's face hardened. Contained. A polite word for imprisoned. She turned to Alex. "How long before they reach Earth?" 3 days, he replied. "And they've sent terms. We must surrender all our deep space vessels and weapons technology. After that, they'll place orbital control platforms around Earth." The room erupted in angry voices. Earth had been a loyal member of the Council for 5 decades. Humans had fought alongside other species against pirate fleets and natural disasters. They had shared medical discoveries that saved millions of lives across the galaxy. And now, without warning, they were being cast out and imprisoned. Susan called for quiet with a sharp gesture. "We have 3 days," she said. "Not much time, but enough to act. We won't win a direct fight. The Council controls thousands of worlds. We have only 7 colonies beyond our solar system." Denise Harper, captain of Earth's newest warship, spoke up. "We can't beat them with firepower, but we might outsmart them." All eyes turned to her. "Our research division completed the prototype stealth systems last month," Denise explained. "They mask energy signatures from standard Council sensors. If we outfit enough ships, we could evacuate key personnel to the unexplored regions beyond Council space." Chief Engineer Paul Martins nodded slowly. "We'd need to modify the systems for civilian ships. It won't be perfect, but it could work. We'd need to time it perfectly, though." Susan walked to the large window that overlooked the sprawling spaceport below. Hundreds of ships sat in their docks, from small personal craft to massive colony vessels. She made her decision. "Captain Harper, work with Martinez. I want as many ships as possible fitted with stealth technology in 48 hours. We'll evacuate our best scientists, engineers, and a core military force." She turned back to face the room. "The rest of us will stay and fight. Not to win, but to buy time for the evacuation." Alex stepped forward. "The Council thinks they're neutralizing the threat, but they're making a terrible mistake. By betraying us, they're creating exactly what they fear." Outside the window, the sun began to set over Earth. It might be one of the last peaceful sunsets humanity would see on their home planet for a long time. But Susan knew that this wasn't the end of humanity's story. It was just the beginning of a new chapter. "Send word to all Earth forces," she ordered. "Operation Scattered Seeds begins now." The next 48 hours on Earth passed in a blur of activity. In hidden workshops and underground hangars, Paul Martinez and his team worked without rest. They installed the experimental stealth systems on 50 ships. The technology was not perfect. It would hide the ships from most Council sensors, but only for a limited time. How long will the cloaking last? Susan Blackwell asked as she inspected a civilian transport being retrofitted. Paul wiped sweat from his forehead. 6 hours at best. After that, the energy signature becomes visible. We'll need to be far beyond the outer planets by then. Susan nodded. It would be close. Very close. And the weapons? We've armed every ship with what we could spare, Paul replied. Not enough to win a battle, but enough to run if they're spotted. Across Earth, similar preparations moved forward. In secret bunkers, scientists packed research data and important materials. Military personnel selected for the evacuation said goodbye to their families. Many chose to bring their loved ones, but some families were split as brave men and women decided to stay behind to defend Earth. Captain Denise Harper supervised the loading of her ship, the EDS Intrepid. As Earth's newest and fastest vessel, it would lead the evacuation fleet. She watched as crates of scientific equipment were carried aboard. The last of the medical supplies are loaded, said her first officer, Jake Miller. We're at 97% capacity. Denise looked at her tablet. The Council fleet has passed Neptune. They'll reach Earth orbit in 14 hours. We need to launch in 10. Meanwhile, in the command center, Alex Ross coordinated with Earth's remaining military forces. General Ryan Kennedy, commander of ground forces, reported in from North America. My troops are in position, Ryan said. Anti-orbital defenses are online. We won't hold them off forever, but we'll make them work for every inch of ground. Alex looked at the tactical display showing Council ships approaching. Remember, General, this isn't about winning. It's about buying time. Make the Council focus on you, while the evacuation ships slip away. As darkness fell over the main spaceport, Susan addressed the commanders of the 50 escape ships. Their faces appeared on screens around her. You carry the future of humanity, she told them. Your mission is simple but vital. Survive. Find a safe haven beyond Council space. Build. Grow. And one day, return to free Earth. The ship commanders nodded solemnly. They understood the weight of their responsibility. At exactly midnight, the evacuation began. One by one, the 50 ships lifted off from hidden locations around the planet. They used minimal power to avoid detection as they climbed through the atmosphere. Aboard the Intrepid, Denise watched Earth grow smaller below them. The blue planet shone in the darkness, beautiful and peaceful from space. It gave no hint of the frantic preparations for war happening on its surface. Lieutenant Olivia Jackson stood beside her on the bridge. Will we ever see it again? She asked quietly. Yes, Denise said firmly. This isn't goodbye. It's just until we're strong enough to return. The evacuation fleet gathered in high orbit on the far side of the moon, using the natural satellite to shield them from the approaching Council vessels. When all 50 ships had arrived, Denise gave the order. Activate stealth systems. Set course for the Kuiper Belt. From there, we'll jump to the coordinates of our first rally point. The ships disappeared from normal sensors as their stealth systems engaged. Like ghosts, they accelerated away from Earth, passing silently through the outer solar system. On Earth, Susan Blackwell watched the fleet's progress on a secure channel. When the last ship reported clearing the solar system boundary, she closed the channel and turned to Alex. They're away, she said. Now it's our turn. She picked up a communication device and opened a channel to all Earth forces. The Council betrayed us, she said. Now they'll learn what happens when you cornered humans. Prepare for battle. The Council fleet arrived at Earth with overwhelming force. 500 warships entered orbit, their weapons aimed at the planet below. The Council commander, an alien named Xerex from a species known as the Vulturi, sent a simple message to Earth's leaders. Surrender now. Remove your orbital defenses. Accept Council authority. General Ryan Kennedy received the message in his underground command post. He sent back an equally simple reply. Earth does not surrender. The battle for Earth began moments later. Council ships launched their first attack against Earth's orbital defense platforms. The platforms fought back with everything they had. Bright flashes lit up the night sky as ships and stations exploded. Susan Blackwell directed Earth's defense from a hardened bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains. "Status report," she demanded. "Orbital platforms 1 through 7 are destroyed," reported a young officer. "Platforms 8 through 15 are still fighting. Ground-based ion cannons are firing." Susan nodded grimly. The defense was going exactly as planned. The Council was focusing all their attention on the visible resistance. Meanwhile, the evacuation fleet was now far beyond the solar system, their stealth systems hiding them from Council sensors. In space, the Council began landing troops. Thousands of alien soldiers descended to Earth's surface in transport ships. They expected an easy victory. They were wrong. Ryan Kennedy's forces had prepared traps and ambushes everywhere. When Council troops landed in North America, they found empty cities but active defenses. Automated weapons fired from hidden positions. Roads and buildings were rigged to collapse. Every step forward cost the invaders dearly. "They're advancing toward Chicago," an officer told Ryan. "Let them come," Ryan replied. "Activate the lake defenses when they reach the shore." Soon after, Council troops approaching Lake Michigan were surprised when the water itself seemed to attack them. Underwater drones and mines struck from below, while concealed weapons fired from the shoreline. Similar battles raged across the planet. In Europe, Asia, Africa, and Australia, human defenders fought with desperate courage. They knew they couldn't win, but every day they held out was another day for the evacuation fleet to get farther away. Far from Earth, that fleet continued its journey. The 50 ships had passed beyond Council space and entered unexplored regions of the galaxy. Their stealth systems were no longer needed, so they traveled at full speed. Aboard the Intrepid, Lieutenant Olivia Jackson studied star charts in the navigation room. She was looking for a suitable planet where they could establish a base. "This system looks promising," she told Captain Denise Harper, pointing to a star on the display. "G-type star, similar to our Sun. Preliminary scans show at least 2 planets in the habitable zone." Denise examined the data. "Good work, Lieutenant. Set course for this system. We'll send scout ships ahead to confirm it's safe." The fleet adjusted course toward the promising star system. They had been traveling for 3 weeks since leaving Earth. Supplies were holding steady, but morale was becoming a concern. People missed their home. Many had left family members behind to face the Council invasion. To address this, Denise called a fleet-wide meeting. Representatives from all 50 ships gathered via holographic projection in the Intrepid's conference room. "I know you're worried about Earth," Denise said to the assembled faces. "We all are. But remember why we're here. We carry the seeds of humanity's future. Our mission is to survive, to build, and eventually to return stronger." Dr. Catherine Wells, Earth's leading expert in advanced technology, spoke up. "We've already begun work on technologies the Council forbade. Without their restrictions, we can progress much faster than before." "How long until we can fight back?" asked a ship captain. Denise looked at Catherine, who shook her head slightly. "Not soon," Denise admitted, "but that day will come. For now, we focus on finding a home and building our strength." As the meeting ended, Olivia returned to the bridge. On the main screen, she could see their destination star growing brighter. It wasn't Earth's sun, but soon it would light the new home of humanity, a home where they would plan their return. 2 years passed since the escape from Earth. The human fleet had found their new home, a planet they named Haven. It orbited a red dwarf star in a region of space far beyond Council maps. The planet had breathable air, clean water, and fertile soil. Most importantly, it had no intelligent native life that might report their presence to the Council. Dr. Catherine Wells stood on a hill overlooking the main settlement. What had started as a collection of prefabricated buildings had grown into a proper colony. 5,000 people now lived here, with another 15,000 spread across 4 smaller settlements around the planet. "Beautiful view," said Scott Fletcher as he joined her on the hilltop. Scott had been head of Earth's Special Operations Command before the evacuation. Now he trained Haven's defense forces. "It's coming along well," Catherine agreed. "The agricultural domes are producing at full capacity. The shipyards are operational, and my research team has made breakthroughs in several key areas." Scott looked at her with interest. "What kind of breakthroughs?" Catherine smiled. "The kind the Council feared. Advanced AI systems without the ethical limitations they imposed, quantum weaponry that can penetrate any known shield, and genetic enhancements that improve human strength, speed, and intelligence." "The Council was right to fear us," Scott said quietly. "No," Catherine corrected him. "They were right to fear what we might become. But by betraying us, they guaranteed we would become exactly that." They walked down the hill toward the research center, a large complex of laboratories and testing facilities. Inside, dozens of scientists worked on projects that would have been illegal under Council law. In one lab, researchers tested a new type of shield that could absorb energy from enemy weapons and convert it to power. In another, engineers assembled prototype fighter craft smaller than anything the Council used, but far more maneuverable. "How soon until the new ships are ready?" Scott asked as they passed the engineering bay. "The first squadron will be operational within 3 months," Catherine replied. 10 ships to start, with more to follow. They're fast, stealthy, and armed with weapons the Council has never seen. Scott nodded approvingly. "My enhanced soldiers will be ready to pilot them. The genetic treatments have been successful beyond our expectations." In a separate wing of the facility, Scott's special forces underwent training. These men and women had volunteered for genetic enhancement. They were stronger and faster than normal humans. Their reflexes were sharper, their senses more acute. They trained relentlessly for the day when they would face Council forces again. Later that day, Captain Denise Harper called a meeting of Haven's Leadership Council. Representatives from all 5 settlements gathered in the central meeting hall. Denise stood before them with a serious expression. "We've received a transmission from Earth," she announced. The room fell silent. "Our hidden relay station at the edge of the solar system picked it up. It's coded in one of our secure channels." She activated a holographic display showing a message in text form. "The Resistance continues to fight, but the situation is grim. The Council has established control over most major cities. They've set up orbital platforms that can target any point on the surface. Still, human fighters conduct regular raids against Council positions." The news was both hopeful and troubling. Earth still fought, but the Council's grip was tightening. "There's more," Denise continued. "According to this message, the Council is expanding its military. They're building more ships, recruiting more soldiers. They're preparing for something big." "They're afraid," said Scott. "They thought they could contain us on Earth, but they're worried some of us escaped. They're right to be worried." Catherine stood up. "Then it's time we showed them why. I propose we accelerate our plans. Instead of waiting until we have a full fleet, we should begin limited operations using the ships and soldiers we have now." The Council members looked at each other, then back at Catherine. "What are you suggesting?" asked Denise. "I'm suggesting we remind the galaxy that humanity isn't defeated," Catherine replied. "Small strikes. Hit and run tactics. We take what we need and disappear before they can respond. We become the ghosts that haunt the Council's nightmares." The vote was unanimous. In 3 months, humanity would strike back. 5 years after the fall of Earth, the first strike team prepared for their mission. Commander Eric Mason stood before his crew on the bridge of the Ghost, Haven's first advanced stealth ship. 5 more identical ships waited in the launch bay, crewed by soldiers enhanced with Dr. Wells' genetic treatments. "Today we remind the Council that they made a terrible mistake," Eric told his crew. "Our target is the mining facility of Anselnar 7. It's a major source of rare elements for Council technology. We will take what we need and leave without a trace." The 6 ships launched from Haven, their advanced engines barely visible as a faint blue glow. They traveled for 3 days to reach Council space, remaining in stealth mode the entire time. When they arrived at Selnar 7, they found the mining facility just as their intelligence had described it. A large operation with minimal defenses. The Council never expected an attack this deep inside their territory. "Begin Phase 1, Eric ordered. 2 ships positioned themselves near the facility's communication array. They fired specially designed disruptors that blocked all outgoing signals without alerting the operators that anything was wrong. With the facility now cut off from the rest of Council space, the remaining ships moved into position. "Phase 2, Eric said. "Boarding teams, prepare to deploy." 20 soldiers in advanced combat suits launched from the Ghost. They used personal stealth fields to approach the facility unseen. At precisely the same moment, they entered through different access points. The facility's alien workers were confused by the sudden appearance of humans in their midst. Before they could react, the soldiers had secured the control center. "We have control," reported Lieutenant Andrea Cole over the comm. "No casualties on either side. The workers are secured in their quarters." Eric nodded with satisfaction. "Begin loading operations." The ships docked with the facility. For the next 3 hours, human crews transferred containers of rare elements from the Council stockpile to their ships. They took only what they needed, materials that would help them build more ships and weapons back on Haven. As they worked, Andrea found something unexpected in the facility's database. "Commander, I found Council security reports," she called. "They mention Earth." Eric joined her at the computer terminal. "What do they say?" "The resistance on Earth is stronger than we thought," Andrea said as she read. "Council forces control the major cities, but they face constant attacks from human fighters in rural areas. They call them the Ghosts of Earth because they strike without warning and disappear before reinforcements arrive." Eric smiled. "Seems we're not the only ghosts haunting the Council." He downloaded the security reports for analysis back on Haven. When the loading was complete, Eric addressed the facility workers who had been locked in their quarters. He spoke through a translator device. "We have taken only what we need," he told them. "No one has been harmed. When we leave, you will be free to resume your work. Tell your Council that the humans they betrayed have not forgotten, and we will not forgive." The Ghost and its sister ships departed Selnar 7 as quietly as they had arrived. By the time the facility restored communications and reported the incident, the human ships were long gone, safely hidden in the vastness of space. News of the raid spread quickly through Council space. Most officials dismissed it as an isolated incident, perhaps carried out by human refugees who had escaped before the blockade. But some of the elder Council members worried. They remembered why they had voted to contain humanity in the first place. Human adaptability and resourcefulness made them unpredictable. Over the next 6 months, similar raids occurred across Council territory. A research station found its data servers accessed and copied. A fuel depot lost a significant portion of its reserves. A shipyard reported prototype parts missing. Each time, the raiders left the same message: Earth remembers. Council military vessels began reporting strange sensor readings, ships that appeared for a moment before vanishing. The Council increased patrols and strengthened defenses around key facilities, but the Phantom ships always seemed to stay one step ahead. In a secure Council chamber, Xerex of the Vulturi called an emergency meeting. "These are not random attacks," he told the assembled representatives. "This is a coordinated campaign. The humans are testing our defenses, gathering resources, and sending us a message." "What message?" asked a representative from a younger species. Xerex's expression darkened. "That our betrayal has consequences." 10 years passed since Earth's fall. On Haven, what had started as a desperate colony had grown into a powerful base. The initial 50 ships had become a fleet of 300 advanced vessels. 6 more hidden colonies had been established on planets throughout unexplored space. Humanity was no longer merely surviving. It was preparing to reclaim its home. Admiral Lisa Montgomery stood on the bridge of the Vengeance, Haven's largest warship. Around her, officers prepared for the most ambitious operation yet, the liberation of Earth. "Status report," Lisa commanded. "All 100 ships report ready," replied her second-in-command, Captain Steve Phillips. "Jump drives are charged. Weapons are online. The fleet is assembled and awaiting your order." Lisa looked at the tactical display, showing their planned route to Earth. For years, they had gathered intelligence on Council defenses in the solar system. Their spies reported that the Council had grown complacent. They believed the human resistance was limited to Earth itself and occasional raiding parties. They had no idea about Haven or the other colonies. "The time has come to take back our home," Lisa said to her bridge crew. "Send the signal to all ships. Operation Homecoming begins now." Throughout the fleet, captains received the order. One by one, the ships activated their jump drives, technology far beyond what the Council possessed. In flashes of blue light, they vanished from Haven's orbit and reappeared at their first staging point just outside Council space. "Phase 1 complete," Steve reported. "All ships accounted for." Lisa nodded. "Proceed to Phase 2. The fleet jumped again, this time appearing at the edge of Earth's solar system. Their advanced sensors showed 50 Council warships in orbit around Earth, with defensive platforms positioned at strategic points. It was a formidable defense, but the human fleet had the advantage of surprise and superior technology. "Launch ghost drones," Lisa ordered. Small unmanned craft shot out from the human ships. They sped toward the Council fleet, their stealth systems making them nearly invisible. When they reached their targets, they attached to the hulls of Council ships and activated their special weapons, not to destroy, but to disable. Council ships suddenly lost power as the ghost drones released precisely calibrated electromagnetic pulses. Weapons went offline. Engines shut down. Communications failed. Before the Council forces could understand what was happening, half their fleet was drifting helplessly in space. "Phase 3, Lisa said calmly. "Main fleet advance." The human ships moved toward Earth, their quantum phased shields easily deflecting the few shots fired by the remaining Council vessels. They didn't return fire with their main weapons. Instead, they used targeted EMP strikes to disable more enemy ships without destroying them. "We want the galaxy to see the difference between us and them," Lisa had told her captains before the mission. "They betrayed us and tried to destroy us. We will show mercy even in victory." On the planet below, Council ground forces were thrown into confusion as their orbital support suddenly went silent. Then their communication systems picked up a message broadcasting on all frequencies. "Attention Council forces on Earth. This is Admiral Lisa Montgomery of the Free Earth Fleet. Your orbital defenses have been neutralized. You are surrounded. We offer you one chance to surrender. All those who lay down their weapons will be treated fairly and return to Council space unharmed. Those who resist will face the full force of our military. You have 1 hour to decide." In his command bunker beneath what had once been New York City, Colonel Doug Phillips led the ground assault teams. For a decade, he had fought in Earth's resistance, hiding in forests and mountains, striking at Council forces when possible. Now, finally, he was coordinating with a fleet from the stars. Proof that humanity had not only survived but thrived. "Teams are in position around all major Council bases," he reported to Lisa via secure channel. "The resistance fighters are ready, 20,000 strong, armed with weapons we've hidden for years." Lisa's voice came through clearly. "Excellent, Colonel. When the timer reaches 0, begin the ground operation. Remember, we take prisoners. The universe needs to witness the difference between their justice and ours." Doug checked his watch. 53 minutes until the liberation of Earth truly began. The liberation of Earth succeeded beyond all expectations. Most Council forces surrendered when they realized the overwhelming technological advantage of the human fleet. Those who fought were quickly defeated by Colonel Doug Phillips and his resistance fighters, supported by soldiers from Haven with their advanced weapons and enhanced abilities. Within 3 days, Earth was free. Admiral Lisa Montgomery's fleet secured orbit while ground teams dismantled the Council's control centers. Human civilians emerged from hiding places to celebrate in streets they hadn't walked freely in a decade. 1 week after the liberation, Director Grace Miller of Earth Intelligence called an important meeting. As head of Haven's intelligence service, she had coordinated spies throughout Council space for years. Now she faced captured Council representatives in a conference room that once served as their headquarters. "Gentlemen," she addressed the alien officials, "you are prisoners of war, but you will be treated with dignity, unlike what you did to us." The lead Council representative, a blue-skinned alien named Kellner, spoke through a translator. "Your victory is impressive but meaningless. The Council controls thousands of worlds. They will send more ships, more soldiers. You cannot stand against the full might of the Council." Grace smiled. "I think you misunderstand the situation. Let me clarify things for you." She activated a holographic display showing star maps. "These are not just Earth and Haven." She pointed to 7 dots that lit up across the map. "These are all human colonies, established over the past decade, each with populations in the tens of thousands, each with shipyards and factories building our advanced technology." The Council representatives looked at the display with growing alarm. "You feared what we might become if left unchecked," Grace continued. "Your betrayal forced us to become precisely what you feared, but with one crucial difference: we still maintain our humanity." She switched the display to show footage from across Council space. On dozens of worlds, protests and uprisings had broken out. Species that had long been treated as second-class members of the Council were demanding equal rights. Many carried symbols matching those used by human resistance fighters. "You see, while fighting to free Earth, we made allies," Grace explained. "Many species in the Council have suffered under the rule of the elder races. They saw our resistance as inspiration. What began as our fight for survival has become something more, a movement for freedom across the galaxy." Kellner stood up angrily. "This is sedition. The Council will crush these rebellions and your colonies." "They can try," Grace said calmly. "But every day, more Council military vessels are reporting failures in their central systems. Mysterious computer viruses that our agents planted years ago. Your fleets won't be very effective when their weapons stop working." She turned off the display. "We don't want war with the entire Council. We want change, equal standing for all species, including humans, an end to the elder race's dominance, and accountability for those who betrayed Earth." As the Council representatives were led away to comfortable but secure quarters, Grace joined Admiral Montgomery and Colonel Phillips on the roof of the building. They looked out over the rebuilding city, where humans and friendly alien species worked together to repair the damage from a decade of occupation. "Reports from Council space confirm it," Doug said. "Uprisings on 37 worlds so far. The Arcturians, Benzites, and Trill have officially broken from the Council and requested alliances with us." Lisa nodded. "And our fleet captains report that 15 Council warships have defected to our side, with crews who sympathize with our cause." Grace looked up at the stars becoming visible in the evening sky. "The elder races thought containing Earth would prevent us from changing the galaxy. Instead, they scattered us among the stars and gave us every reason to bring about the very changes they feared." On a balcony below them, a group of children, human children born in hiding during the occupation, played with young aliens from sympathetic species. They laughed together, unaware that they represented the future the Council had tried to prevent. A galaxy where humanity's influence spread not through conquest, but through cooperation and shared values. The tide had turned, and it would never turn back. 20 years after Earth's betrayal, representatives from 112 species gathered on a neutral planet called New Geneva. They came to sign the Charter of the Galactic Confederation, a new alliance built on principles of equality and mutual respect. The Galaxy Council that had ruled for thousands of years was officially dissolved. President Daniel Clark, the first freely elected leader of Earth since the liberation, stood at the podium to address the historic assembly. At 65 years old, he had been a junior diplomat when the Council betrayed Earth. Now he represented humanity as they helped shape a new era of galactic politics. "We gather here not as conquerors, but as equals," Daniel said to the assembled delegates. 20 years ago, the Council betrayed Earth because they feared our potential. They were right to be afraid, not because we would conquer, but because we would change everything. Humans don't accept artificial limitations. We don't surrender to fate. When backed into a corner, we don't simply fight back. We redefine the rules of engagement. Delegates from the elder races sat uncomfortably in their seats. For millennia, they had dominated the Council and dictated terms to younger species. Now they held equal standing with races they had once controlled. Some found the adjustment difficult, but all recognized the same truth. In attempting to prevent humanity from becoming a galactic power, they had accelerated the very outcome they feared. The Confederation we established today differs from the Council in fundamental ways, Daniel continued. No species may dictate to another. All have equal voice. Technology will be shared, not restricted. Exploration will be encouraged, not controlled. And never again will the world be betrayed as Earth was for the crime of advancing too quickly. The chamber erupted in applause. Many of the delegates represented worlds that had suffered under Council restrictions. Some had joined the revolution humanity sparked. Others had declared neutrality but now eagerly joined the new alliance. Xerex of the Vulturi, one of the few elder race representatives who had embraced the new order, approached Daniel after the ceremony. "Your species has accomplished in 20 years what others could not achieve in thousands," he said. "I opposed the vote to betray Earth. I was overruled. Now I wonder what might have been if we had embraced humans as true partners from the beginning." Daniel shook the alien's hand. "History took the path it took. We can only move forward now." Later that evening, Admiral Susan Blackwell, now retired at 73, stood with Captain Olivia Jackson on the observation deck of Earth's newest flagship, the Unity. Though Susan had stepped down from active command, she had been invited as an honored guest for the signing ceremony. "Was it worth it?" Olivia asked, looking out at the assembled fleet of Confederation ships, vessels from dozens of worlds, including many former Council members. Susan was silent for a long moment as she remembered the desperate escape from Earth, the hard years building Haven, the battles for liberation, and the friends lost along the way. "They betrayed us because they didn't understand us," she finally said. "They thought our unpredictability was our weakness, but it was always our greatest strength. They'll never make that mistake again." Beyond the viewport, Earth shone bright against the blackness of space. No longer cut off from the galaxy, no longer under alien control. Humanity had not only reclaimed their homeworld, but had helped reshape the galactic order into something better. In schools across Earth and the human colonies, children learned the history of those dark days. They were taught not about revenge, but about resilience, not about hatred for those who had wronged humanity, but about the power of determination. The betrayal by the Galaxy Council had indeed been a terrible mistake, but from that mistake had come a new and better future for all species. In the endless stars visible through the Unity's viewport, that future awaited, a future where humanity's potential would never again be feared or contained, but welcomed as a force for positive change throughout the galaxy. The Galaxy Council had betrayed Earth, and they had regretted it forever.